All right, so we're going to have a lesson summary of the second lesson in the Technology and Cognition Extension Unit. So we're still looking at positive effects of technology on cognition. So just a slide here just to review what we did in the last lesson. And then now we're looking at virtual reality and fear extinction. This is overlapping with content in the PTSD unit if you've taught that. All right, so what we're looking at is trying to link VRET, that's the technology, and how it has a positive influence on cognitive processes. So there's the crossword, right? And I always remind students, if they don't know all the words at the beginning of the unit, that's fine, but they should be able to know them by the end. All right, and then if you didn't watch this video in the last lesson, then you could watch Klingberg's TED Talk here. All right, so curing fears, problem solving. So how would they cure their fears? Right, if someone has a fear of feathers, fear of heights. Now, students naturally come up with something to do with exposure therapy, right? So they would gradually expose them to. They might do flooding, where they would just put them in a bath of feathers and wait till they get over it. But most kids don't come up with that one because it's a bit rough. So they usually come up with either flooding or probably systematic desensitization, where they gradually increase the exposure of a fear-inducing stimulus. Okay, so it's important that students first of all figure out exposure therapy, because that's what virtual reality exposure therapy is based on. Okay, so, and also understanding what fear extinction is. Now the key here is that fear extinction is the opposite of fear conditioning. It's the removing of a conditioned fear. And what's really important, and this is so important to stress for students, is that it's a type of associative learning, because that's where the cognition comes in. Okay, so fear extinction, if they don't make this link in an exam, if they just talk about fear extinction, it wouldn't be recognized as a cognitive process. But fear extinction is a type of associative learning. It's a new learning that's occurring in the brain. So that's really important that they link that, because it's the VRET which is causing this new learning, and that's where the technology is influencing the cognition. Okay, and so then we're going to talk about virtual reality exposure therapy, some chalk and talk time here, and then linking it with veterans as examples here, as many concrete examples as we can give in our chalk and talk. And then now here's, I'm just putting the slide here because students might be thinking, wait, what the hell has this got to do with technology and cognition? And then just reinforcing what I've just explained, right? That it's the VRET is helping to create new learning. And then I've just tried to make the link up here much clearer as well. Okay, and then there are some, this is a really good video that gives some real life examples of people using VRET to treat PTSD, and it's really helpful to see how it's used. And you can see how easily this overlaps with the psychological psychotherapies in the abnormal psychology unit as well. All right, and then because it's a little bit tricky, I get students to read the textbook after we've done all that, and then this is what the workbook looks like, and there are some guided notes here, and they should be able to answer these questions. And yeah, and so these are the two questions that they should be able to ask by the end of that lesson. So that's the end of the second lesson, looking at how the technology of VRET can influence associative learning or fear extinction.